We have groups G and H in play, gentlemen. And I guess this is all about really Brazil and Portugal. Can they really just stamp their mark on these groups and make it 2 wins from 2 and make pretty light work of the teams they have to face so far? Because everyone expects them to go through, let's be honest. But if we focus first on Brazil against Switzerland, Nick Mendola, Neymar's out. We know that. Who do we think is going to come in for him? Is it going to be, Rodrigo? Is it going to be, I don't know, Gabriel Martinelli, Gabriel Jesus? They got so many great options, haven't they? Brazil. So that doesn't really seem to impact them, even though Neymar is a fantastic player. And I know you're a huge, huge fan of him.
Yeah, I wonder if it's going to be a facilitator or if it's just going to be moving things around. If they want, I don't want to say like for like, but if they want to get the same things out of Neymar that they're getting out of the new player, then Martinelli might be a good fit there. But whether it be Jesus, Rodrigo, you mentioned, I think they have a really good opportunity to show another wrinkle for other teams later in the tournament. Show that this isn't just I don't want to say a one-trick pony because they're the furthest thing from it. But I'll be interested to see whether this is about trying to go like for like, or if it's going to be, again, reaching for something that people didn't see in the win against Serbia.
Andy, there were some reports out there that Fred is actually maybe going to come in and start, and they're going to have an extra man in midfield and be slightly more defensive against Switzerland because, the Swiss like to clog up that area of the pitch with Xhaka, Freuler, and others. So, I don't know about that, but that might be the less exciting option given all the great players they have on the bench. But, that could be quite pragmatic, right? Seeing how there's been upsets, and maybe this is potentially their toughest group stage game against Switzerland.
Yeah, and we've got to remember at some point, probably some rotation is coming. And so is this the game you look to do it if you're Brazil, or do you try to get the win in the second game? Third game means absolutely nothing. You don't really have to worry about it. It'll be interesting to see how they handle that. I think they would still create decent number of chances that they do bring Fred in, because it's still Vinicius, it's still Richarlison, it's still Rafinha, assuming that they make no changes up there. Obviously, the names that you guys have mentioned to bring in, there's too many options for them. But I do think it might be someone a little bit craftier, maybe at center forward than Richarlison. I know he scored twice in the first game, but a team that's going to sit and defend as deep as Switzerland will, I'm not sure that's the guy you want to try to filter chances to in the penalty area, because he's not quite as clinical as, say, a Gabby Jesus, who, if you can get him on the end of 1 or 2 chances, I think Brazil are really going to like like the odds that they get a goal or two.
Yeah, and I mean, obviously, if Cameroon, Serbia ends in a draw, right, then the winner of this game, if there is one, will already be through to the last 16. So that's an advantage as well, Nick, isn't it? Kind of just seeing how that game plays out, and then Switzerland and Brazil will adjust. Of course, Brazil are the favourites. They're going to want to win it no matter what. But it's really interesting to see how different teams like England, like the Netherlands, kind of like Spain as well, I really have to juggle things in these second group stage games. And even though they want to win, it's almost like, we kind of know we're going to be in the last 16. So are we saving a few players or saving a performance? It's difficult to juggle at this point, especially when all these players are coming in mid-season and you're trying to get them up to speed as quick as possible as a unit together.
Well, as good as they are and the depth that they've shown, sometimes it's just about this is the time in the tournament. I know I can get this guy minutes. I know I can get this guy feeling like he's a part of the mix and getting the looks. And I guess that's a better way to say what I meant to say with the initial thing. I think you could see a big change here, and a guy like Fred, as you mentioned, entering the game just because they want to get everybody's legs moving. And when you're as deep as they are, we see this a lot with France. Was it in the World Cup? I think only 2 players, Mandanda and Yamin Adil, maybe. Only like 2 players didn't get any minutes at all. Yeah. And you can see how that worked for them.
Definitely. But a quick word on Switzerland. I watched their game against Cameroon, and Embolo was good up top. Shaqiri and Xhaka were excellent. Obviously, a lot of experienced campaigners there in that Swiss team, Andy. So, they shouldn't be underestimated. I feel like we underestimate them at every tournament, and they always overachieve and over-deliver. So is there a whiff of an upset, given everything that's gone on this tournament so far, or do we think Brazil is just a little bit too strong for Switzerland, similar to how they were against Serbia?
No, there's 100% chance that Switzerland could get a draw in this game. I'm not saying it will happen, but Well, Brazil struggled to put chances away in the first game. I know they put two of them away. One of them just an absolutely spectacular, probably all-time quality goal at a World Cup. And so, I think you can maybe get a little carried away this early on. While Brazil have to figure some things out. They've got to figure out what the rotation of all that incredible talent is to keep everybody happy, to keep the team balanced and everything. And so, in playing the way that Switzerland do, I think sets up to pose a very, very difficult challenge to Brazil in this game. And I think it'll be good for them, though, because they are going to have to, when we get into the knockout rounds, they will have to pick apart a team that sits incredibly deep and respects them simply because they're Brazil. And so if they can do that and show some of those things early on in this tournament, and Fred might just be the perfect type of player for that, an extra body in the midfield. Tite knows at some point in this tournament, he's going to have to call on him. He's going to need an extra midfielder at some point. And the next point, you want him to feel like he's been part of it all along.
Yeah, rhythm is very important, and just sharing the load. Casemiro and others, they may need to come out at some time. So makes perfect sense. Okay, head over to Pro Soccer Talk on NBCSports.com for all the latest news around this game, how to watch information, preview, recap and analysis. We'll have you covered with that one. When Brazil turn up at the World Cup, it's always fireworks, big news, great goals like it was against Serbia. So hopefully this game against Switzerland is no different, and it absolutely delivers.